Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In today's video we're going to look at making some whoopie slings. Now some of you may be asking, what are whoopie slings? Well, they're a suspension system that are used in conjunction with hammocks. The hammock I have is a DD brand. It's the Frontline hammock. I've had one for years, and I've been using whoopie slings probably since about 2012. I was first introduced to them in 2008 by a friend of mine that I met at a bushcraft meet, and at the time I wasn't 100% sure what they were and how they worked, but I was also gifted them in 2012, and it was from that point on I've never gone back. Now previously I've used material like this, which is the straps that come with, or the tape should I say, that comes with the hammocks, and these are good. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're very strong and very efficient at suspending your hammock, although they're very absorbent as well. So if it rains and you get downpour, they absorb the water, and it also will travel down to your hammock. And I've done other things like putting drip lines on there that works very efficiently as well. That also works, although on a great downpour it doesn't stop the tape from getting wet. So when you're packing up, that again gets your gear wet when you're packing your gear away. And also it's quite bulky as well to look at, as you can see. So although that does work and it's very efficient, I wanted a better system. And I do enjoy tying my knots, don't get me wrong. You know, I prefer using knots over any other systems normally. So I started looking at whoopie slings once I was gifted this set, and I had to use a bit of webbing like this as some tree huggers, okay? And then I used to tie a little knot into the webbing with a little toggle in there, and then obviously the whoopie sling would hook over that toggle, and that has worked brilliantly. So I'm due for a new set now, okay, because my old set's getting worn away. But I bought the material to make them rather than just buying the whoopie slings. Now you can purchase whoopie slings on the DD website, and I've got little notes here, so bear with us 2 seconds, guys. So on the DD website, you can get a set of 2 for £13.95, okay, for some whoopie slings. Not sure what the length are, pre-made for you. And then you can also, if you wanted to use their actual straps, which I've purchased and treated myself to, okay, these are around £7.50 for a set of 2, I think. These are a lot stronger, a lot lighter. Okay, and they've got these little loops in there, and they're designed for the hammock, and they seem to be less bulk than the actual webbing I was using before. So they're used in conjunction with these, and you can also use either a carabiner, or you could even use soft shackles, which is what we're going to be making. Now in the past I've used all sorts of things. Like I said, I've used big carabiners on my hammocks, you know, just to put through the hammock and then tied the tape around that. And whatever system I was using, I was always adding bulk and weight. Whoopie slings are the opposite. You're taking away the bulk and you're taking away the weight as well. So there's an advantage there. They're not absorbent, so they're not, when they get wet, okay, the water will just drip off them, so they stay dry, which is good. If the only thing it really gets wet is this bit of tape here. But because this is a finer weave, I'm assuming this will be better than the straps I was using before. But to purchase whoopie slings, I think they cost, what did I say before? It was £13.95 for a set of 2. And then for some soft shackles, it's about £9.75 for 2. So making them, you can get 10 meters of the material, and this is called Amsteel, okay, which is like a Dyneema, okay, material, and I think it's like I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but this Dyneema has like a strength of a steel itself, and it's used to make all sorts, and used for splicing. They don't use this material to tie knots with, okay, although you can do it. It acts like hair though, it easily unravels itself, but it's great for weaving and splicing. So we're going to be using this because we're going to be feeding the ends back onto itself to create the whoopie slings. And we're going to be doing a video on how to make the whoopie slings, but we're also going to make some soft shackles as well. So we're going to save some money here, because to buy this stuff from the DD website, it costs 99p per meter, and I've bought 10 meters here, so it's around 30 foot, okay. So with that, that's going to be plenty to make myself 2 whoopie slings and a couple of soft shackles as well. And I might even have some left over, so I might make some spare soft shackles. And it's only going to cost me £10 rather than the whole project bought straight from the DD site being around £24. I'm saving myself about £14 by making them. Okay, and plus it's a fun project. So I'm going to cut the video here for the moment, and we're going to dive straight into the items that we're going to need to make these Whoopie Slings and soft shackles, and then we're going to be looking at how to make them. So stay with me, guys. Okay, so to make the Whoopie Slings, we're going to need this material, which is Amsteel. Okay, you can purchase it off DD's website. It's £99 per meter, excuse me. So you're going to need some of this. Okay, I bought 10 meters. I will put a link in the description if you're interested in making these yourself. So that's the first thing we're going to need. We're also going to need a cutting board, okay, to do the work on. So we are going to be cutting that material up. We're also going to need something to cut with. Now I have this surgical blade that was given to me by my friend John. So thank you, John, for that. It's been a fantastic tool. I've been cutting up leather and all sorts with that. So we're going to be using his legendary tool that he used to have for his work. And he's gifted that to me. And then we're also going to need an awl. Okay, so to split the individual strands apart, okay, and also going to help me with the splicing of the actual Amsteel itself. So that's going to be just as important. And then I'm going to be using this material here, which is like a wire. It's coated, okay, a coated wire. I think you can get these in like garden shops, and it's very flexible, but I'm going to be bending it back on itself and feeding it through the Amsteel itself, so I can then pull it through itself when it comes to doing so. Okay, and we're also going to need a tape measure. I've just got a simple tape measure here, so I can make some measurements of the length of Amsteel I'm going to need, in conjunction with another little measuring tool that we're going to also be using is my ruler here. So here's my ruler measured in centimeters. Okay, so we're going to be using a ruler as well, just for ease. And finally, we're going to be using, if I grab it now, those 2 seconds, is a pen. Okay, so I can make some markings on the steel, just some more marks, so I know exactly where to start, and then I can replicate each Whoopie Sling to be exactly the same. Okay, guys, so they're going to be the tools that we're going to be using. Okay, I'm just going to cut off now, and we're going to get set up, and we're going to start making the Whoopie Sling. Okay, so the first step then is to take our Amsteel here. Now, I've got roughly around 30 meters or so here. It is not 30 meters, 10 meters, which is about 30 foot. With the Amsteel, I'm going to cut it around 12 foot long. Okay, and that should give me around a 6 foot or so Whoopie Sling, but I'm going to give myself an extra half foot, so I'm going to go with 12.5 foot. So I'm going to cut these into 2 individual 12.5 foot strands. I'm going to show you how to make one Whoopie Sling, okay, or we're going to attempt to make one Whoopie Sling for this video. I'm not going to do both of them in the video itself. Okay, it's going to be in 2 parts. The second part will be showing you how to make the soft shackles that we're going to be using as in conjunction with the tree huggers. But for this one, we're going to be looking at the actual Whoopie Sling itself. So for that, I'm going to need my tape measure. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for 12 foot lengths, and I'm going to cut that into a 12 foot length now. So I'll do that now, guys, and then I'll show you the next clip of what we're going to do to one of those lengths. Okay, so now I have 2 lengths which are around 12.5 foot each. I've got some leftover Amsteel, which is just a little bit over 10 foot. Okay, which is great. So that means I can make quite a few things with that 10 foot. I could either make a spare Whoopie if I wanted to, but I think that'd be quite short for a Whoopie. So what I'm going to do with the remaining 10 foot is make some soft shackles with it. And I'll probably make around 4, and then if there's anything remaining from that, I might keep that as spare or use it for another project in the future. Okay, so that is going to be the remaining Amsteel I've got. So I spent £10. I've got what I need for my Whoopies. and I've got more than I need for my soft shackles with remaining am steel. So I think that's the way to go, guys. If you can try and make it yourself, you'll save yourself near 15 quid on buying the items individually, but you're also going to get much more than what you need as well, more of those items. So let's look at the next step. So firstly, I'm going to take one of the strands. Okay, let me get that out the way there. So here's one of the strands, and what we have to do is we have to make a little taper within each end of the strand. Okay, so to do that, let me get myself set up and get the tools I need in place, and then we'll look at how we can make this into a little taper just by trimming it down a little bit, taking some of the strands out of it. Okay, so I've got both ends of the am steel here. I've done a measure of around 3 centimeters in, and I've marked it. You probably won't pick that up on the actual camera, but it's about there, and I've tapered one of them already. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to taper the other end, okay, to be exactly the same. So first thing we need to do is we need to expand the am steel just like that, so almost see to the point where you can see through it. Okay, you take your awl and you pull out one of the strands, and you got to be careful not to pull out the fibers. Okay, so that's the fibers that make up a strand, but we're going to get the awl just under there like that. Let me just push that over. Okay, and then we're just going to pull it out like that, so we can see a nice little loop there, and we just continually pull on to the end of that. Okay, now you've got to try to stay as uniform as you can, so we don't want to be pulling out the strands that's next to it. So a good thing to do is expand it again, look at where you pulled that one out, and miss one and get the next one from that point. So this one here, so I'll go for. Now if it's not if the camera's not picking that up, I do apologize, guys, but I'm doing my best there to try to film this at the same time. So don't want to catch the fibers itself, so I'm going to go in from the other way instead. That's it. There we go. Give that a little pull. So we're now there. Let's get that one out. Now there's other ways to do tapers, guys. It's not the only way. This is just the way I saw someone else doing it. Okay, so obviously I've looked at other videos as well, learn from each other and all that. Ooh. So that's the strand there. So it looks like I've got 2 for my money there. Okay, so let's do a comparison quickly, see how I'm getting on. Quite happy with that, guys. Okay, I'm going to cut off those 3 pieces that we've just pulled out. So to do that, I'm going to use a knife for this because the razor blade, surgical blade, is very, very fine and thin, but it's causing me to saw into it, and I just want to do a little cut like that. Okay, so we'll use a knife, get better control with the knife. So I think I'm going to use that from this point on for this material anyways. A little bit different when we're dealing with leather and all that. That's ideal, that little blade, but for something like this, I'm just going to pull out that fluffy bit here, because that was part of that same strand. I just missed it. Like that. Okay. Let's get them out of the way. There we have it. So that's the taper there. Now it's not the end of the world if you do catch fibers for the tapers, because they're going to be hidden into the arm steel anyways at some point. Okay. So I'm going to get ready for the next bit. I'm going to measure. I'm going to show you how to measure the next part. Okay. So be right back when I've got the items that I need for that bit. Okay, so on one end of the Whoopie Slings we need to create a loop. Okay, so it should be looking something like that, and it's going to be around 3 inches or so. Okay, it's an approx number, so a 3-inch loop. And then what that's going to do is going to go through the hammock, and then we're going to feed back everything onto itself, so that then becomes part of the hammock. It really stays there permanently. Now to do that, we take our tapered end that we've made already, and what we have to do is we have to measure. And I've taken these measurements off another video. Okay, so I watched another gentleman make these. I will put a link in the description of his video as well, because it was very informative. I've forgotten the YouTuber's name, I do apologize, but I will put the link in there so you can have a look at his video. Very, you know, well put together and to the point as well. So we're kind of doing a bit of a build along with him. So what we're going to do, we're going to measure 5 inches. I'm just going to make a mark there. Okay, like that. Then we're going to measure from the 5 inches we've got there, from the end to the 5-inch mark. So now from the end we're also going to go to 11 inches. So I'm just going to move this over. Okay, try not to lose my 5-inch mark. So that's the 5-inch mark there still. Okay, and then we have 11 inches. So I'm just going to expand this a bit, make life easy for myself. 11 inches. Now you might not see the marks on the video itself, so I'm trying to do this so you guys can see what I'm doing here. So I can see those marks. Okay, so we've got 5 inches and 11 inches. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the short end and we're going to go through the 11-inch mark. So we're going to go through there. Okay, straight through the cordage itself. Okay, and then we're going to take the other end and pass that through the 5-inch mark, and I'm going to show you how that's going to look. So I'll do my best to get everything on camera here, guys. Okay, so there's our 11-inch mark. So I'll use my awl to point it. It's just there. Like, I'm not sure if you guys picking that up. What we're going to do is expand that. So again, you can see straight through it, like so. Okay, it's quite pliable, this stuff, so when you're moving it backwards and forwards, it's quite forgiving. Like I say, it acts like a little bit like hair. It wants to unravel itself. So what we're going to do is take our awl and put it through the hole, straight through, without catching any of the fibers. But we want to make sure this is even on that side than it is on that side, so you should see the same amount of fibers. Okay, so that looks good to me from what I can see there. So now I'm just going to expand that. Okay, give it a bit of an exercise there, make the hole bigger. Now we could use our pen here to even expand that further. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab a better pen. Spare us 2 seconds, guys. That has maybe like a rounded butt or something like that. Maybe something like that. Oh, this would be ideal. So just a typical pen like this. Okay, so now I've started that hole up. Take this pen and then keep going, just to make it nice and large. Okay, so what you end up with is something like this. Okay, guys, something like that. Now take our short end, so the tag end from the short bit, the bit we tapered that's closest to that hole, put it straight through. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, sorry about that, guys. For some reason my camera decided to stop on me. Okay, so we're not going to pull that all the way through. We want that to have a little loop there. Okay, so we're going to take the 5-inch mark that we made. So let's just double check where that was. Okay, so there is the 5-inch mark. Should be able to see my pen just there. Okay, and we're going to open that part up as well. Okay, so let me just do that now. So I'm going to get that there. We're going to make an opening like we did. Okay, the same as the 11-inch mark there, and we're going to put our awl straight through, being careful not to catch on to any of the fibers itself. So now what we do is this, okay, straight through like that. I've just pulled that short temporarily, okay, just for the minute, because we're going to make a 3-inch loop. So now we've done that hole. Let's make sure it's all the way through. So we've got that there. Take our pen just to widen that. It's an ideal tool for this. You can get awls that have that taper to it. Okay, I just don't have one. So we're making do with what we've got. Okay. So that's what we've got there. Now, let's do that now. Get that hole nice and big. So we can see there's the hole. And what we're going to do now is take the longest end, so the other end of this am steel. Okay, find it. And we're going to pass that through there. Like so, pulling it all the way through. Okay, take a measure out of the way. So we're going to push it all the way through. We can probably get for ourselves our loop back. Okay. That's going to be just as important. Okay, so we can see now what we've done here. So we've made a hole there, okay. We first took the tag end, the small bit, put it through the 11-inch hole, then made a 5-inch hole. So a hole 5 inches from the end, and we put the longer bit through. So now when we pull it through, it starts to look like that. And when we pull onto these nice and tight, you can see that's going to be locking in place there. So there we go, nice and solid, and that's going to be strong. As it stands, it's strong. Okay, so there, that's going to be our loop that we've made. Now we need to do something with this tag end, hence is the taper. We're going to bury it all the way in, okay, to the am steel. So give me a moment, I'll set up a tool for that, and then we'll do that part as well. So I've got the wire that I was telling you about. Okay, now there is other tools you can buy, and there is splicing tools that you can actually get for this purpose, but wire serve the purpose just fine. So what I'm going to do is just going to crimp that there just a little bit. So now I've got a solid rod that's going to go straight through the am steel just there. Now, where we do that, just make sure that's nice and tight. We want to come up as close as possible to where that join is, and we want to thread it further past where the tapered end is. So we're going to go where the tapered end, and we're just going to estimate this. We'll probably put the wire there, so when we squeeze it down, it almost causes like a friction. So it's like a like those Chinese finger traps that you get. Okay, the more and more you pull on it, the more friction it creates, and that's just the right amount of length. And because we've tapered it, it means it will be hidden in there, and it will be blended nicely like it's one big bit cordage. Now what we need to do is go back a bit. We need to bend or just compress everything. Okay, so we're unraveling, so you can see there it becomes hollow like a tube. Okay, we do that all the way along as best you can. Take your time here, guys. There's no rush in the process, so that's what we're going to do there, all the way across. Just like that. Okay, and I want to come out in that hole because that's closest to the strand there. Okay, and they do this thing and it's called milking the berry. Why they call it that, don't know. Okay, I'm sure someone can explain in the chat box there, but I like the sound of it. It sounds good. So we're going to get our awl just to get us started. We're going to pick a hole without sounding filthy there, guys. Right, there we go. Just expand that a bit. I'm going to compress that just a little bit more. And we're going to thread in the wire, okay, just like that, all the way across. Take time to do so. Make sure it stays compressed the best it can be. The more you compress it, the better you're going to get your wire through. And we want to do this without snagging on any of the fibers in there. So you can see the wires all the way through there, guys. Okay, not sure if the camera's picking it up, so I'm just going to move that tag end out the way. I want to come through one of these holes here. Okay, so all I will use, I want to see if I can get that one. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a little encouragement there to open that up. See if I can push that through. It's fiddly old business, but there we go. We've come through. Success. Just like that. Okay. Now we can take our loop, just expand it open a bit now from the wire. Get the taper done. Put it in there. Fold it over itself. And give it a good old crimping. Right, here's the fun bit. We've got to pull through now. We've got to pull this all the way to this end. Okay, hoping that we don't lose it. So I'm going to crimp that a bit more. Keeping it compressed. Let's get it started. Just give it a little jiggle, little wiggle in the jiggle. Wiggle in the jiggle, just like that. There we go. All the way through. Success. Now, let's get this off. This wire. You can see it's all the way through now. So we're going to pull that. And that's where the knot ends up being. Just here. Like so. Now we do the bit, making sure everything's in line, called milking the berry. So you're going to see this disappear. Okay. So you hold it here. Massage it out. Milk that berry. There we go. And that's it. That's one end done. Nice neat job there. It's all in there now, so that part's in there. That ain't coming out. That's solid. That is strong as it's going to get. That'll hold your weight. And that's the bit that's going to go on the end of the hammock and pretty much thread through itself. So the hammock is going to be in here. And it's going to thread through itself. And then we've got the whoopie end. Okay. So let's move on to the other end, but that is one end of the whoopie sling complete. Okay, so far we've created the end bit. Now that's probably the most challenging part to do. From that, we need now to create this sling part. So there's going to be another loop that's going to be pulling through this whoopie. Now, some people put beads in there to stop it from sliding through. I've never had an issue with that. What I like to do is once I've built the whoopie sling, it's just sew in a little bit of nylon thread, okay, to a certain point that I know I never use. And then if it does go to pull through, it will stop. Okay, and I saw that on YouTube as well. So I'm not going to use a bead because I don't want a bead on my whoopie, but I'm going to sew something in there at some point just to stop it sliding through and then losing the sling into itself. Okay, so it's not the end of the world if you do, because it's an easy thing to fix. If you know how to make them, you can repair it. So what we need to do here is take that end piece that we made, and we need to measure approximately 10 inches. Okay, now we're going to go, you can either go a little bit more than 10 inches, okay, or 10 inches is meant to be the optimal. Okay, so let's have a look at that then. We're going to get our tape measure here. Let's get the cutting board in place so you can see what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to go 10 inches. To be fair, from that handle to the cutting board is about 11, so if I just made a mark there, okay, on the cutting board, it's an old cutting board anyway, guys, I can just use that as the point of reference. So I can do that, okay. So that's about 10 inches, we'll double check that, which looks good to me, okay. Now, just for peace of mind, okay, when you come to making the other 10 inches, you can do it a little bit longer if you want, okay, but 10 inches is generally the number that, you know, don't want any less of, shall I say, okay. So there's our 10-inch mark there on the cutting board. I'm going to mark that there. Mark that out with this Sharpie. Not sure if that's picking that up on the camera there, guys. I'm conscious about my shadow. Okay. So it's there. Okay. You could even open it up a little bit. Another thing you could probably do if you really wanted to, okay, is just give it a little opening. As a way, there's your point of reference. You could do that if you wanted to. You don't necessarily have to mark it with a Sharpie. Okay, but that's what we've got there. And now what we're going to do is do it same again, another 10 inches, but because I've already made that mark where it is on the cutting board, that's going to be the next bit there. And we're going to thread the tail end of the long piece all the way through. Okay, and that's pretty much the fundamentals of the whoopie done. So let's just open that up again, just a bit more. If I need my awl, just I've got that as a point of reference. I'm going to do the same here, okay, but this time I'm going to mark it with my Sharpie, like that. Okay, we're going to need our wire tool to do this. Okay, so I'm going to go straight into the whoopie with my wire. I'm going to flatten everything out as we go along. It's quite a tricky thing to do, so just bear us 2 seconds here, guys. We'll get started at least, and you see what we're going to be doing. So we're kind of going making a little channel in the middle. Okay, let's see if I get that going. Okay, got to be conscious not to try catching any of the fibers. Once you get started, then hopefully it should be much simpler to push through. Just expand it all a bit more. Okay, that's looking good. There we go. Right. So you're going to be threading that all the way through. You can see that mark that I made. Doesn't matter if you go past it. Okay, I'd rather go past it because again, this is bearing your weight. So if you are a heavier individual, it's probably a good idea to give yourself more than you need. Okay, this will hold your weight, guys. I mean, apparently they claim it holds on the DD site about 125 kilos. Okay, so in that case, then if you've got 2 whoopies on your hammock and that's spreading that load, it's going to take a lot of weight to break it, that's for sure. Okay, and you can get different gauges. You can get them in different thickness as well. So if you are conscious or concerned, just get the heavier, dutier stuff, you know, the stuff that can hold even more weight. Okay, now I don't want to lose that mark, so I think I marked it there. Shadows in the way here, guys, do apologise. If I'm off camera, I do apologise, guys. I'm just looking for my mark, that's all. Okay. So it's looking like I'm pretty much there now. There's my mark there. So I'm just going to go a little bit past that mark. made. I think that's about right. Okay, and then what you do is you come out the other end where that mark is, just like that, and you do as we did before. You take the other end, put it through the loop and pull it through. So I'm going to open the wire up here, just like that. That's the tapered end, don't worry too much about that. We're going to give that a good old crimping and then get yourself started, wiggle and jiggle. Get yourself through there. There we go. Pull it through. Taking time to thread it. There we are. Pulls through, and there's your whoopie pretty much done. Get some more of that. Let's take the end off. Okay, leave that wire out of the way. Quite annoying, isn't it? Right, so moment of truth. Milk the berry, as they say. And that is pretty much there. So just got to milk the berry a bit more. There you are. That's the 10-inch. So that's from there to there. Good stuff. Okay guys, and that's pretty much your whoopie made now. So what happens then is this end goes over, you'll have a soft shackle between your tree huggers, grabs on that end, and then this end, as I said before, where is it? There it is, will be looped through your hammock itself. Okay guys, give me a moment. I'm going to show you what you do to the end of this now, okay, in order to stop it from going back on itself, okay, and unraveling itself. So I'll show you what you need to do there. Okay guys, I'll see you now. Okay, so we've got this end here to deal with now. So that's the end part from the whoopie sling. So we're going to obviously create a bit of a handle, okay, so it's going to look like that, and it's going to stop it from, you know, disappearing into the whoopie sling itself. Okay, so you can measure, I say approximately around 4 to 5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to go with 5 inches. So let's do that there. Just put that on the end. 5 inches from the end of the whoopie sling to about there. Okay, now instead of marking it, what we can do is just bend it and pinch it really, really hard. So we now make a little kink there. And what we're going to do is going to hide that into the arm steel here. So what we're going to do is go about there, further back, and we're going to thread our wire through that part. So let's start about here, expand it out, and do that along all the way up to the creased point that you've made. So there's my wire. Okay, take your wire, make your little kink as normal. I have to say guys, it's quite satisfying doing this. Okay, you might want to make a little encouragement with your awl. Just make sure you don't split any of the fibers, like we said before. For this bit, it's not at the end of the world because it is just a handle, and it is just to stop it from disappearing into the sling. So now get that encouragement going. I won't go too far in there, and we're going to try put the wire straight through the channel that we create with the whoopie, or with the arm steel, should I say. So all the way through. There we go. Now we're getting started. So make sure you expand it. It's almost like you're trying to put a new lace on some tracky bottoms. You're threading it through, catching it and pulling it back a little bit. Okay, just like I'm doing here. But we don't want to milk it completely. Now when we get to this point, we want to get to the end. Like I say, measures don't have to be exact on this bit, because this is just a little handle, and it is just to stop it from disappearing. There we go. Bring that up so it pokes out the end there. So that's what we've done. Okay, let's put that around there. Now we get our end as before. Gather it up together, put it through the loop. Like so. Pinch it. And then wiggle and jiggle again. Okay. So threading it through. Okay, splicing it right into the sling itself. Now take your time here, because there's going to be a point where we have to stop. You could leave a little loop there if you wanted to, but get it to the point just before it goes in on itself, so about there, like that. Take your wire off, hold it there, so maybe I'll pull it a bit more, hold it there, and then milk the berry all the way across, and you'll see that bit disappear, which it has. So the end tag now has disappeared, and now we've got a bit of a handle there on that end, and that makes it nice and neat as well. Tidies it up, as you can see. And there we go, that's our whoopie sling. So what you've got then is you've got this bit. It goes through the hammock. So let's imagine we had a hammock there, it goes through the hammock and then goes back on itself. So that will be threaded through like that. Okay. And that bit will be in the hammock. Okay, taking this tag in out of the way, obviously. So that's the bit, it'll be cuddling the hammock itself like that. And then this bigger loop, which is here, is what will hang onto the shackle. So the shackle will grab onto that, and that shackle will be attached to the tree hugger. And then what we can do is we can then adjust it by pulling on to the tag here, and to tighten it we just milk the berry, and then that's it, and it'll stay there. And then there's lots of strength in that, it's going nowhere. Okay, so there you go guys, that's how you make a whoopie sling. On the next video we're going to attempt to make a soft shackle to go with our tree huggers, and then have a look at the process for that one. But guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and like, subscribe. Okay, if you want more content like this of me showing you how to make things, I'm more than happy to do it. Okay, I like making my own gear and equipment. Something satisfying about using the stuff you've made yourself, and right there we've saved quite a lot of money there just by making it ourselves with extra amp steel to make other items as well. So take care guys, and look out for the part 2 of this video where we're going to make a soft shackle.